Hi, everyone. This is Chuck Dorr from OpenFin. I wanted to welcome everyone to the OpenFin Layouts webinar. Just before we get going, I wanted to remind everyone that in London next Tuesday night, we have our the FinJS event. We're very excited about the presenters there. We've got a great crew of people, both from OpenFin and customers, the industry in general, and some interesting talks from tech outside of finance as well. There is a link in the chat. There should be a link in the chat now on the WebEx or the Zoom for RSVPing to that event. Also, please use the chat if you have any questions along the way during the webinar. We have people manning the chat, and they'll feed the questions to us, and we'll be able to answer them. We have a lot to cover today. There's two different real sections here, and we're going to try to stick to these times, but we're going to give as much time to them as they really need. We're going to start with a more technology-focused overview, more business-level overview of the layouts functionality, and do a quick demo, and then do some Q&A. And then as we get closer to the top of the hour, we're going to flip over and do a deeper dive on some of the architecture changes that we've implemented in OpenFin to support, the layout service. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Adam Toms, who will go through where layouts is and some of our motivations.
Thanks for that, Chuck. So welcome everyone to this webinar focused on layouts and OpenFin's move into layouts. I thought it'd be interesting to just set the scene a little bit with some of the desktop trends that we continue to see here at OpenFin. Do you guys just want to toggle that slide? Sorry. No.
Adam?
Yeah, Mitra, do you want to drive the slides on your side?
Yep.
Great, thank you. So from a desktop trend perspective, it's certainly a fast moving area. And I think one of the best ways to think about, the old kind of desktop space, put very simply, is that it's very much overloaded and it really doesn't have much of a defined user experience. I think people take great care around the user experience within one application, but of course, there's many applications on a user's desktop, particularly in capital markets each day, usually ranging from at least 5 to many more. So the task really is how do we make these applications kind of work better together? And we've seen a very big movement towards creating much more holistic desktop strategies from a high number of our clients leveraging OpenFin, really looking to break out of the browsers, create more powerful widgets of information. So accepting that users can't dedicate a full screen to a particular application constantly, but perhaps can give up a smaller piece of their real estate, which can be, to a very powerful widget, which can then drive the broader application, the user into a broader application experience from that widget. And central to this is that people really want to retain the look and feel of native desktop experience, which people have really grown up with, but is at risk of being lost as more and more people move to web technologies and get stuck inside browsers. So what are people targeting? Why are they doing this? They're really targeting it to high user productivity, a better user experience across the desktop, and more in every meeting we certainly go to, it's being labeled as and coming under the heading of a digital transformation type project. So if I take a second on the next slide to think about, digital transformation can mean many different things to many different people. But I think in our space in particular, we see our clients looking to really empower their users, unlock the value that sits on their desktop, think about how they also access innovation. And by having those three pillars at the center of the strategy, you know, and driving it as digital agenda, there's kind of these other kind of, you know, very, you know, clear characteristics that people are targeting, or components that people are targeting. So it's got to be intuitive, it's more ergonomic in design, it's intelligent, interactive, contextually aware, and responsive, connected. All of those types of things is super important. But of course, the more we, you know, empower users and make things into widgets, we started to get into a slightly different world. So we were thinking, okay, well, how does this play into layouts? And if I go to the next slide, you see that we kind of then have these kind of, you know, components or target objectives to, you know, grouped into a couple of different categories. And I think on the left is really what defines what we're going to talk about today, which is OpenFin layouts. I think our view is, if we're going to, you know, as I said, moving things into smaller kind of widget-based applications, how do we manage the general workspace on a desktop? You know, people need tools to do that. And to date, OpenFin clients have been doing a great job of actually building a number of these tools themselves to kind of manage desktop workspace and their layouts. And indeed, as many of our existing customers know, we have quite a number of things already in our product that help with that: dockable, movable windows, saved in states, you know, making them kind of contextually aware using a message bus and our FTC3 standards initiative. But really, OpenFin layouts goes to a different level, much more around the visualization and user experience on the desktop. And most importantly, we're starting this off as an open source project, and really pleased to see already and hear from a number of, you know, large clients that they're going to be contributing directly to the project, which, you know, as we all know, the power of open source really allows us to accelerate, delivery and functionality as we move through layouts. So we're super excited about launching layouts here at OpenFin. And thanks very much for your time today. I'm going to hand over to Nick Kolber and Michael, who are going to run through the demo in more detail.
Great. So Michael, who is a developer here on our team, is going to take it off with a demo into how layouts work.
Hi, everybody. Michael Coates here. I'm a software engineer at OpenFin, and today I'm going to take you through the layouts service demo. Here we're going to show you how OpenFin layouts can help you optimize your desktop workspace. So first of all, we're going to start by just launching a normal old OpenFin application. So you can see here, we have a normal OpenFin application. We have normal windows that don't snap, don't dock, and we don't have any sort of workspace management here. However, I do want to introduce this workspace management to this application. So I'm going to show you just how easy that can be. I'm going to open up this application's app.json. For those of you who are unfamiliar with OpenFin, the app.json is your entry point into your OpenFin desktop. All I need to do here in this app.json is add one line of configuration, the services flag with the name of layouts. Just that. That's all you need. So what we're going to do here is we're going to save this app.json, and we're going to relaunch our application. This is the same exact application we just had, but now with OpenFin layout service enabled. So now we can snap and dock windows to each other just like that. Whenever you want to snap a window to another window, a preview window shows to show you exactly where that window will snap to. You can snap as many windows as you want and create as large of a window group as you would like to. If you want to change up the configuration of and a window group, you can always undock an application using the API that we provide, or with a key binding as well. So you can always change up whatever sort of layout you have with this. If a window is too large to snap to a region, we give you live feedback. And you can always resize your windows to fit into the region that you would like. Lastly, if you don't want any windows to snap at all, you can always deregister that window so that it doesn't snap to any others. And this window group here can all drag together, all move together. And you can always create multiple window groups and drag them individually. That's the power of the OpenFin layout service. This is just a simple demo. Right now, I'm going to hand it over to my colleague, Chuck Danielson, and you get a look at what this looks like on a true financial desktop. Chuck?
Thanks, Michael. I'm here, right? Yep. All right, great. So you may have seen this demo application before. It's a simple application launcher we put together called Whiteboard here in-house. Purpose mainly is to showcase multiple applications being able to launch from one place. And obviously when this new layout service was released, we were very excited. You know, from what we just saw from Michael's presentation, with just one line of configuration, I can turn this collection of applications from a number of different application providers into a fully coherent financial desktop that'll allow these windows to snap and dock together. So I'm going to start off my workflow by starting a chat application. I'll quickly log in. I appreciate the patience, and let's hope I spell it right the first time. Hot dog. We're in. So the first thing I'm going to do is kick out a few individual chat windows. So from here, some of my favorite people to chat with, our colleague who works with us on the FTC3, Espen Overby, as well as our fearless CEO, Mazi Dar. So I have a couple of separate now chat windows open on my desktop. And now let's say I want to start adding some more applications to the mix. So I'll start with a demo trade blotter that we've built here in-house. So this previously had some snap and dock functionality to it, but now I can dock other application windows and move that as a group on my desktop. Next, I'll bring my next chat window beneath, and that'll snap and dock right in line there. And now I've got this full group that I can be working with. Let's add another third-party application to the mix, an independent charting app. So I'm going to pop this app open here in my bottom corner and dock it to the group. But I can clearly see I've wasted a little desktop real estate here. So I'll go ahead and undock with my keyboard shortcut. I get some visual feedback. And now I'm going to maximize my window a little bit more and snap and dock this in. But you may not be getting the visual feedback through the screen display, the screen share. But right now I'm seeing a red square underneath letting me know that, hey, this window is not actually going to fit. So I can resize to something more appropriate, at which point the visual feedback changes to a blue square. So I, as an end user, know that my window is capable of docking. And now I've got you know, a full you know, kind of block of windows that I can move about my screen. I'm sure we'll mention this a little bit later too, but this is an open source initiative, so I would check that out for a little bit more of a hands-on approach to the visual feedback you're getting. But with one line of configuration, we're able to turn this collection of independent applications into a fully coherent desktop. So great work, team. And at this point, I'd like to pass it over to our CTO, Nick Kolba, who's going to take you in for a bit of a deep dive into exactly how this is all functioning.
Awesome. Thanks, Chuck. That was a really great demo by both Michael and Chuck. Let me switch over to the. Okay, great. Sorry, I didn't have the slide deck in front of me. Great. So I just want to talk to everybody a little bit about how you start using this stuff that we just showed you. So OpenFin Layouts, as you just saw, is now available. The prerequisites are runtime 856.3055, which is currently, or just as of this morning, stable. And RVM 4.2033, which is stable as well. And so this is all ready to go. There is an NPM module that contains the client code exposing the API that you would use for implementing app for things like undock. That's available through NPM. And finally, as Michael pointed out, you just need to add a very simple configuration into your app manifest or your app.json file, implementing the service and calling it out, and the RVM will take care of the rest. Finally, you can see the code and even contribute to the code at GitHub under Hadouken IO layouts service. So as you saw, there are a bunch of things available today. We have snap and dock of windows. We give you visual feedback on dock attempts. We have undocking both through key commands and APIs. And you can opt in and out of the snap and dock behavior via configuration, as we saw with the deregistered app. But that's not all. There's a lot that's coming up over the next several months. And just to give you an idea of some of the things that are on our roadmap, are cross-runtime support for tabbed windows, for example, dragging one window on top of another window to form a tab set, being able to drag windows out of that tab set, resizing windows within a group, snapping groups together, being able to then save and recreate your layouts after you've grouped things, which is a really essential feature. And then finally, we're going to be continuously improving the UX. And we look forward to doing that through you, our developer community. And PRs are very, very welcome. So please check out the GitHub and try it out. And if you see things that you think can be improved, work with us. Did I mention it's open source? I think everybody has mentioned it's open source. I'm going to say it again. We believe really, really strongly in the power of open source communities at OpenFin. It's an essential part of our DNA. And these projects that we're releasing as desktop services are all going to be open source. And we, as Adam mentioned, we already have a number of terrific organizations that are starting to collaborate with us. And we want more. We want your feedback. We want your PRs. Everything is Apache 2.0, and your PRs are welcome. So now we're going to turn it over to some question and answers from you. And then afterwards, for those who want to stay on as we have time, we will go into a further technical deep dive on the architecture.
Yeah, we're just going to stop sharing the screen for a second so that we can better process the questions. As I said, as we kicked off here, if you have questions, because there are a number of people in the webinar, please put them into the chats. You know, the chat either in Zoom or in WebEx, and we will get to them. Okay, sorry for the delay there. Switching over to question taking mode is more challenging than it should be. So the first question we have here is, will the .NET API support integration with layouts? You know, if we have a C# or WPF app that's on the Interapp bus, can I make that window interact with the layout API?
Yes, the answer is, well, is yes and no. So it does not do it in this first iteration today, but it is on our roadmap and we are moving forward with that. The first step is multi-runtime support, which is coming very shortly, and then we will start building it into the various language adapters.
The next question we have here is, can you pass parameters? I'm not 100% sure what that means.
Is maybe referring to configuration.
Yeah, to say a group doc connected WPF with a regular OpenFin widgets.
Can you read the whole question?
It's broken up into a couple things there.
Okay,
Maybe restate that parameters question. We have another one here. Can I build my own snap and dock?
Yeah. Let me take that one. So technically, yes. However, we do feel that would be a lot better to avoid fragmentation of the UX. And we really want to be able to mutualize common problems across the industry, which is really why we've made this project open source, is so that we can build the best of breed thing in one place.
Great. Okay, so will there be a way to access or utilize the docking on window creation? Create a window that is already docked? Or say a drag out that I want at the mouse position, can I make that docked? So, you know, sort of docking via the API automatically, not via user interaction.
Yeah, that is definitely something that we will be able to support. There'll be elevating groups to kind of full objects within the OpenFin API, and you'll see a lot more of this as the layouts, saving and recreating starts to roll out.
The next question we have here is, do we have target dates for the items on the roadmap?
Yeah, we're going to be sharing those separately, but we are working up target dates for all those items.
And also, again, because it is you know, truly an open source collaborative environment, you know, one of the great things about that is that if you want to move something up from a delivery standpoint, we're happy to collaborate with you on you know, putting together a PR. And of course, because you're you know, you're contributing this into the services, you know, the services, you know, the layout service. You know, OpenFin really owns the maintenance of that going forward. So you get to do the fun part, and then we get to maintain it.
Exactly.
Another question we have, if I have an SPA app but set it to be able to use the layout service, will it be able to dock with third-party unknown to me applications?
Absolutely. That's the main intention of how we've architected the service. We believe that functionality like snap and dock and laying out workspaces should exist at the desktop level and not be within the domain of specific applications.
Another question. So we found that aspects of window management, in particular Z order, Z depth, to be quite challenging to manage. Is there anything within the layout service to manage this?
That is on our very short-term roadmap, and it was kind of rolled up under the UX and continuous improvements item that I mentioned before.
Yeah, for those of you that have used the existing groups, the existing grouping mechanism within the OpenFin APIs, you know, as of today, you still do need to maintain, you know, manage the Z order of those windows yourself. So as part of putting together layouts, we are, you know, making some core improvements to the way that the APIs work to have better default behavior. Another question. Can we integrate it with my web app as opening different divs on demand and dock them as dashboard? So in the OpenFin world, a child window really does need to be a window at the, you know, at the browser level. There's no way to float a div outside of your main window. You know, so that you do need to do like either a new window in the OpenFin world or a window.open in the straight browser world to be able to snap and dock things. Another question coming in, how does this differ from Finsamble?
Oh, excellent question. So Finsamble is a framework that's built on OpenFin. Now, there is definitely some overlap between Finsamble and OpenFin layouts. And there are things, though, that Finsamble does that we don't do, and there are things that we do differently. What's really different about the layout capabilities that we're building is that we're building those directly into our desktop platform. So as I said before, the purpose of doing that is that so they can be leveraged across the desktop in a more universal way.
Okay, so circling back to the parameters, the question is clarified as such. If OpenFin app A starts another OpenFin app B, can A pass a parameter to B? And the answer is yes. Are you planning on anything to help push a consistent look and feel into the windows themselves, almost a bootstrap for financial desktops? So that is definitely not planned functionality for the layout service. The service really is meant to be able to bring a collection of applications from potentially different different vendors and internal, external applications together. We would expect people to use different techniques to create uniformity of their applications sort of within their firm or within their collection of applications. But we're not necessarily here trying to create common look and feel. We're definitely not trying to create common look and feel across applications owned by different companies. Okay, I'm going to do just a quick last call for questions on the first segment, and once we give that 2 minutes, then we'll drop into the deeper technical talk around some of the features that we've added to the OpenFin platform to support the OpenFin layouts project. All right, we do have a couple more questions here. Can a group of docked windows join another group of docked windows?
That is on the immediate roadmap. The current implementation, it does not cover that use case.
Do window headers go away when we dock, or do we have to hook this up with a handler?
Window headers today don't go away on docking. That's definitely the kind of thing that we would want to work with the community in terms of developing the best practices for that.
The final question here is there any fading effect available during window open close?
Yes, you can use OpenFin APIs today to create opacity transitions on window opening and closing.
Yeah, truthfully, I mentioned it before in my brief demo, but the screen share doesn't do justice to the actual transition from side to side. So the window becomes a lightly transparent red when it doesn't fit and a lightly transparent blue when it does fit. And the same effects when you're just dragging the windows around by themselves.
Okay, and is there an API to detect when a window is docked and on which side it has adjacencies?
Yeah, that's something that is coming, and that will be, those kinds of APIs will be provided as we expand the implementation that's in the open source.
We have a suggestion. Can we all have MS Office style ribbon bar, please? We all love those. Yeah, honestly, some of the tabbing mock-ups, which we're happy to share with people, they actually do look a little Microsoft ribbon-like. So for sure, that's implementable. And I think, as an addition to the demos, I think we'll probably have something that looks like that. And then what looks like the final question is there any WebSocket support? So, of course, OpenFin being of the web, we have core WebSocket support in all of the, all the views within OpenFin. And that's really the same sort of WebSocket support that you get in Chrome or Chromium. So I'm going to do another final call for questions. And if we've got no more questions, then we'll move into the more technical section of this webinar.
Yeah, and we can definitely take more questions at the end, providing that we have time. And hopefully some of the technical deep dive will help answer some questions you may have. So we're just going to Hey, we're back. So this is Nick Kolba, by the way, CTO at OpenFin, and I'm just going to dive into some more of the architecture that underlies the capabilities we've been demoing. So layouts is our first instance of what we're calling desktop services. And this is a new piece of the OpenFin platform that is designed to extend what OpenFin already does on our users' desktops today. Desktop services are characterized by being singleton services that are lifecycle managed by the RVM, which means that when you put that configuration in your app manifest, the RVM is going to make sure that that service is running, and it will do that across the whole desktop for any applications that are requiring it. All desktop services are web deployed so that they can be updated continuously, like we want to do with all of our OpenFin apps. And they provide common functionality across the desktop. And these are really key for places where we want consistent behavior that goes across applications regardless of the vendor, et cetera. So layouts is a perfect instance of this. And we're building an ecosystem of additional desktop services as well. And I will point out that we've also launched a notification service that is also open source in GitHub and is supported on stable today. Okay, so I'm going to go through a bit of the architecture for you. So for starters, we start with the RVM, which is always present on the OpenFin desktop. When an app is launched, the app manifest is provided to the RVM. This is the app.json that we saw earlier in the demo. This app.json has a service declaration saying it requires, for example, layouts. The RVM is going to resolve this service. You saw that there was just a name, layouts, for the service. It resolves where to fetch the service from, starts up the service, starts up the app. Both of these are web deployed. And the app loads a client module that talks to the service through the API. This we've provided through NPM. It could be provided through any number of things. For example, the code is on GitHub, so you can package it how you like within your app. Services are multi-tenant. They will serve any number of apps across the desktop,
and they will be extending across multi-runtime as well as across language adapters. So we picture layout services not just working across any number of OpenFin runtimes, but also working across Java applications, .NET, Node, C++, and the other language adapters that we're adding into our ecosystem. So this is something that can truly unify your desktop. So the desktop services themselves are built on a new set of APIs that we've introduced as of 856.30.55, of that being the latest stable release, that basically create much cleaner cross-app communication across the desktop. So many of you are probably familiar with the OpenFin message bus, or as we call it, the inter-app bus, IAB. This adds a number of improvements and allows you to do much cleaner RPC between apps. You have message acknowledgement, you have shared state, and you have a lot of abstractions that allow you to be able to build much easier to maintain, more functional APIs. So we encourage all of you to as well look at those APIs. And from that, I think we're just going to jump into more technical QA. So I think we're going to see if we have any questions coming in on the chat.
This is just my screen.
So if you have any technical questions, please drop them into the chat there. We're happy to dig into this in more depth. While we're waiting for questions, I also wanted to let people know we did get some feedback that the video feed on the Zoom was a little bit choppy. So some of the visual feedback around docking, dragging windows around wasn't that clear. We'll put up a video of this functionality so that you guys can get a better view at it. Okay, we've got a couple questions here. Nick, could you expand on the shared state aspect of services?
Yeah, I'm going to turn that over to one of the developers who built that, Pierre.
So right now, a service runs as an OpenFin app. You have your own browser process. You can store state there and then distribute it through the services API to share slices of state with different apps.
So as a follow-on to that question, we've got another one saying, can anyone write a service? What does it take to publish a new service?
Yeah, so anyone can write a service. So you can use the service API to allow your app to publish APIs to other apps on the desktop. So this is a iteration on top of essentially the way that the inter-app bus on OpenFin works today and the way that people use it. The desktop services themselves operate at a more privileged state because they are managed by the RVM in a different way, and they need to be registered in a specific place so we can provide consistency and security across the desktop, which is why the way that we're collaborating with the community around that is through the open source repo.
Okay. Can you please provide some features provided by the RVM OS level? So, just maybe hit the pieces of this that the RVM manages.
Yeah, so the RVM manages starting up, reading the manifest, resolving the service to the specific location of the application that fulfills that service, and then manages ensuring that that service is working. So if the service goes down unexpectedly and there are apps that are depending on it, the RVM will actually proactively restart that service. If all apps have gone away that are using that service, the RVM will clean it up. So all these kinds of basic life cycle things, the RVM knows to manage it in that particular way.
Can services use node plugins, native bindings that expose new features?
So services can do most of the things that apps in OpenFin can do today. So the answer is yes.
Is it possible for one grouped window to for one grouped window to find out which other windows it has in the group?
To find one of the, so to find group membership.
Yeah, group membership.
Yeah, sorry, I'm a really bad verbal processor sometimes. So that is an API that we are, so actually you can, that is exposed in OpenFin today. And because these are actually groups within OpenFin, so you can actually get that information. And there are APIs that we're going to continue to improve on in terms of convenience as we consolidate more of the layout APIs in the future.
All right, I'm going to do another call for questions here. We are again happy to answer your questions. We'll be sharing out more information through both the GitHub repository as well as the sort of usual channels of reach out that we do. So if you have if you do have follow-up questions after the webinar is over, we're going to drop a link into the chats on both the Zoom and WebEx. You can send them through to support@openfin.co as always. Okay, we have a couple more questions coming in. This is clarifying, clarifying how you can use a node plugin bundled with an OpenFin app today. So to clarify that, as part of an OpenFin application, your application can have application assets, app assets, and one of those app assets can be a captive node implementation. So you can bring with your application to the desktop, a Node application, a C# application, a Java application. There are, of course, when you're deploying internally, that actually tends to be something that can be done. If you're deploying externally, the native assets that you're co-deploying with your application, they need to be signed by you, and your signatures need to be, of course, approved or whitelisted at your target customers' desktops. So that does tend to be a less effective strategy for external deployment. But yes, there are different techniques that you can use there. There isn't, within a fully sandboxed OpenFin application, there is not a way to directly run, or include a node module. That said, many of the functions and features that people desire from including node modules are things that the OpenFin team is happy to add to our API. So to the extent that you have feature requests like that, we would love to hear them. Again, I'll do another call for questions here, and as well as remind people that if you have questions that we didn't get to, please shoot them to us at support@openfin.co, and we will get back to you quickly. We have another question here. I may not wish the presence of my application on the desktop to be discoverable. Can it be dockable but anonymous? So this would be, so we've got a collection of applications on a desktop, right? Say there's a vendor application in there, and they don't want their window to be discoverable by the other vendors that are on the desktop. So, because we were answering a question earlier about how you can see through the current API, the windows that are in a window group?
Yeah, and so we have a number of improvements coming across the way that applications do security and discoverability of each other. And a lot of these things are tied into the FTC3 initiative. And so we're going to see in the coming months a lot of that stuff starting to hit our APIs, where you can create more, you can actually get more streamlined control over the visibility of your app. It can still consume these APIs without exposing itself completely across our interoperability mesh. So that is something that we are thinking about, and that's coming.
Okay, it looks like we might be out of questions. Oh, actually, we've got one more. Beating the wire. What are some of the other OpenFin services which currently exist or are planned?
Yeah, so that's a great question. We have today, has been released as well, and there's a GitHub repository under Hadouken for it, is a notification service. So this provides a notification center that unifies notifications across any number of applications into a single place where they can be managed. It provides things like persistence of those notifications, interactivity between the notifications and the apps, and ability to sort and organize those notifications. We still support Toast if the center is not open. And we are also working on tying that into a number of cloud services as well that will allow users to be able to push notifications from their servers. We are planning and will soon be releasing an FTC3 desktop service that provides all of the APIs that are being formalized out of FTC3 there. It'll allow you to do things like open applications by name, much like we saw services being launched by name here, as well as like sharing context and opening applications or discovering applications via intents, which is a bit like Android or Web Intents, if you're familiar with those things. So imagine you want to say, I would like to start a chat, right? And I have some contact information. You can raise that intent and it will get resolved to any number of apps that are capable of starting a chat, right? And it will present the end user with the ability to pick which app they want to launch to do that. So these are things that are happening with an FTC3. They're going to fully support these industry standards, and we're really excited about exposing that as a desktop service.
All right, I think we might officially be out of questions. I'm going to remind everyone for hopefully the last time, if you do have follow-on questions, or you do want a direct demo of this stuff, or you want to get involved in collaborating, please do reach out to us at support@openfin.co or go to the GitHub repo. We're very excited with the amount of engagement we have with our customers and around this functionality. And because of that engagement, we actually expect it to move. In a very rapid fashion as the contributions start coming in. So we will have a recording available of the webinar that will notify you about. And if there's nothing else here, we just like to thank everyone for your time. We know everyone's busy, but we're really excited about this initiative, and we're excited to participate with you guys in making the OpenFin platform better.